This is Elliott Serrano and Marc Fishman once again on the Torn Quadcast here on WRMN Radio and the River Media Network. Part of the ever expanding topics in the River Media Sports Network. So if you are interested in listening to more sports talk here on WRMN, you want to tune in on the weekends, on Saturdays, to watch shows like On the Rise, where they talk about the young athletes on the rise in developmental leagues. And then, of course, we will be hosting Chicago White Sox baseball here on WRMN, as WRMN is a White Sox radio affiliate. So, yeah. I'm excited because, baseball is a lot of fun. The White Sox didn't have the best season last year, but folks are optimistic a bit. You never know. You can always be surprised by what happens. And yes, you can buy ads to have your business promoted during White Sox games. So just reach out to us here, sales@WRMN1410.com, and we can talk to you about the different promotional packages we have so you can advertise during White Sox baseball. All right, with that little bit of housekeeping aside, Mark, we were talking about the Royal Rumble, and you did have a thought that you wanted to finish up on.
Yeah, I figured show some love to the other two matches that occurred on the card. So that included the tag team championship between DIY and the Motor City Machine Guns, which to me seems like a great nod for Triple H to just say, okay, you guys do that thing I don't care about. Make it fast, make the indie people happy. Chop, chop. And, it was good. And then, more importantly, to me at least, the Cody versus Kevin Owens ladder match. Again, all the flowers in the world need to go to Kevin Owens because, look, there was no way Cody was dropping the title. No one anywhere on the continental United States or the world thought that Cody was losing. And Kevin still sold the crap out of it. Everything about the feud, from the shirts he was wearing to the promo battles that he was having to incorporating Sami Zayn into it all. He weaves an amazing story. Kevin Owens is one of my favorites, if not my favorite, like by large on the roster. So great to see him have a great outing and, do the job that he was supposed to do, which makes Cody look like $1 million.
Well, to me, Kevin Owens will always be Kevin Steen.
Yes, fight Steen fight.
Fight Steen fight. I remember seeing a Kevin Steen when he was a Ring of Honor champion. I forgot where it was. It was a small gym here in Chicago, and seeing him go out to his match, and then afterwards hanging out in the back, near the hot dog stand, watching the other matches afterwards, just chilling by himself, watching. Yep. And I'm like, this is, do you see them in the beginning? It's pretty cool.
It is.
But yeah, no, you're right, and that was an old school sort of. I mean, who was showing some clips? I don't know if it was Ring of Honor or somebody independent who was showing some old clips of ladder matches between Kevin Owens and a young Cody Rhodes, when Cody Rhodes still had black hair.
Yeah.
And some of the crazy stuff they did. So that was old school. That was them going back old school.
And this is the kind of thing where those of us who are knee deep in the fan lineage and whatnot, like, this is the kind of thing that you can appreciate on multiple levels, because Cody did leave the WWE for a spell and go out to the indies and really try to make a name for himself that wasn't tied to kind of the silver spoon era of his career. And he reinvented himself for all intents and purposes, and on that journey, meeting a Kevin Steen who then got his way to the WWE and fought his way up the card, to see them both there and knowing that these guys have a history both on and off WWE television did feed that match, and you got a really great story within the story if you happen to know what's going on. For the casual fan, it was just a solid match that continues like Cody's potential treading to Homelander territory. We'll see on SmackDown, I suppose, where all of that is going, because who can pick exactly who his opponent's going to be for WrestleMania, because there's too many of them right now.
Yeah.
It could be Cena, it could be Punk, it could be Rollins, it could be Roman Reigns. The rumor mill is churning up some kind of triple threat between Punk, Reigns, and Rollins, but I don't know how you feel about that, but I heard that, and I don't know, I kind of heard a wet fart and my mind went, okay, great. Sure.
I'm not a fan. You're right. I'm not a fan of triple threat matches.
And I mean, I'm not even sure what the point would be. Is it like the winner of that gets to fight whoever wins the championship at the next pay-per-view? Because the whole story going into this, right, for Punk, who declared early about how important it was for him to get that main event, you know, that this is his bucket list, right? He needs the main event and an ice cream bar, and then he can finally go away. And it feels like he might not get that main event, and he'll have to stick around for another year and stay healthy if he wants to outlast John Cena for 1 year to get that last spot.
Possibly. I mean, I don't think even if he gets this the main event that he'll be necessarily done. Yeah, he, you know, maybe if he hadn't torn his, you know, his bicep, you know, at the Royal Rumble last year.
Right.
Who knows? But
I don't want to say he's injury prone. It's just, you know, he's older.
Yeah, he's older, yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
And I fear for Punk again that he's not going to get his wishes, but like however they fill this card, there's a bunch of X factors in there. You've got Sami Zayn and whatever he's going to do. Yeah, there's just a lot. So I think it's a good time to be a WWE fan right now, for sure. They have a lot of
Yeah, you're right. There are a lot of stories going on. They're keeping you guessing. I want to give WWE creative credit in that in the past they always had a hard time keeping more than one storyline, an interesting storyline going. You know, I remember even during the Attitude Era, when it reached its zenith, they were able to incorporate like 3 or 4 different plot threads together. Things would all come together and you'd go, okay, this is really cool. It's kind of like, you know, again, Marvel Cinematic Universe when the movies cross over with each other. So in the WWE, they have all the different angles and characters, the feuds all cross over with each other, and the characters kind of acknowledge their pasts and things that have happened. So I appreciate that. For the longest time, it felt like wrestling fans were like freaking, like it was Three's Company. They'd forget what happened in the previous episode, and we would just go from there. You know, repeat the same thing over and over again. Janet and Chrissy think that Jack is doing something behind their backs, and that they're going to be mad at him, and then he's got to explain it wasn't real, and blah 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 blah. Like there was one time I wanted Jack to say, "We had this exact same problem last week. It wasn't an issue then. Why don't you believe me now?"
Because Jack, you're gay. Secretly.
Secretly gay for Mr. Roper's sake.
Yes. Yeah. So, the irony be damned.
But the cool thing about that though is now it's not so much about titles anymore. It's back to the feuds. The feuds are what matter. It's not, and yes, you might be feuding over a title, or you're just again feuding for revenge, like you had between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. You had Sami Zayn, you know, trying to fight for respect so that people can consider him to be a true like heavyweight championship level talent. And which is funny because when you look at Sami Zayn, the dude's not slight. I mean, he can stand next to all the other big guys, and he kind of...
He was like the Undertaker of Chikara.
Yeah, I mean, he's a freaking...
Right.
He's a big dude. So the
Yeah,
fact
he's not
that
small. I don't. Yeah,
no,
I always read the story less as his build, more as he is like a quote indie guy. He is Daniel Bryan without the movement.
yeah, but also, I mean, he's has a little more charisma than a Daniel Bryan, if you ask me.
Oh, I mean, he does. He's better on the mic. That, and I think
Way better on the mic. Yeah, yeah,
Brian Danielson would be the first person to tell you that too. But he made his way in and out. You know,
yeah.
from where he's at. And, he might be one of those part timers as well. I don't think he'll ever go back to a WWE ring, but yeah, for Sammy, it's interesting to think like with him and Kevin, it seems like those two might be airing for another WrestleMania grudge match, which again, lean into the history. They'll put on an amazing show, and those two guys wouldn't even complain if they got the second match on the card, the coveted Jericho curse spot.
You don't want the second match. You either want the first
Or the last. You
or the
just don't
last.
want the second one.
The second one. The second one is yeah, yeah. You're
It is
right.
what it is.
I watched that. I watched that interview that Jericho did talking about that as well. That was funny.
Dude won't shut up
Anywho,
about it.
so yeah. I gotta say though, for what it's worth, uh, Royal Rumble was fun. It was entertaining. They're again WWE creative. They have really, uh, they're making it. They're at least for the PLEs. They're making them interesting and well rounded out and pretty well balanced. I can't say the same for Raw right now. I've been watching Raw again, and it's like okay, they've fallen back into the old thing. If anything, now they sometimes spend too much time with the wrestlers, giving the emotional speeches and letting the crowd, chant and stuff, not having to worry about going to a commercial break. They let that go a little bit too much, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was at. WWE television is WWE television at this point. It's a homogenized product. The chaos is like meticulously planned and timed perfectly to that just over the saturation point. But I mean, look, as the AEW fan of the two of us, I'm not going to sit here and not acknowledge that they fill stadiums every time. The crowds look hot, amazing, energized versus what we're seeing on the other side of the ball. WWE's doing a good job right now of just rubbing it in everyone else's face.
It's a shame.
We're winning.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, not that there isn't room for the other ones. I mean, I've been to Ring of Honor shows.
Oh yeah,
and that those things are awesome. They're small, but the crowds are incredible. I've been to the local Power Pro Wrestling, Chicago Championship Wrestling. Uh, um, Again, not to say that you need a huge stadium full of people to make for a great atmosphere. You can pack a gym full of folks and have a hell of an atmosphere, a hell of a time. So I think AEW, although I've seen when AEW goes to the smaller arena types or setups,
yeah.
it seems the problem is it looks small. When you look at it on television, it looks small.
It does. I mean, as I said, TNA fell to that first, and they owned it to a degree. It harkens back to ECW for me. They didn't run massive shows. They ran in the ballroom there, Hammerstein
Mm-hmm.
Ballroom, and some of those smaller places. But if you can fill up a small venue with a raucous crowd, it does. There is an atmosphere for it, and I think AEW may be teetering back towards that. But to transition to talk about them a little bit right now, the only scuttle that's going on with AEW right now is that they took one on the chin. They're going to be in Brisbane, Australia next week. And there's some controversy over the fact that they moved venues. They were supposed to be in a 50,000 fan stadium, and they decided to move it kind of across the street to the lesser arena that may be a tenth of that. And they're almost sold out with the newer, smaller venue. But the Australians got pissed and basically said, "Hey, we thought that we were being sold a pay-per-view here, because why would you book out the Coliseum, the biggest thing that we got over here, and then backtrack?" To which, the real answer is Tony Khan's like, "Well, we never." Like we booked that based on projections, and projections changed, but this was always going to be a televised event. It was never going to be a pay-per-view. And I am sorry if there was miscommunication, but the card, they have improved the quality of the card. So even though it'll be a smaller show, the people that are going there will get their money's worth for sure, which is good, because it feels like AEW is about to turn a corner. They're starting to acknowledge some of their faults. Wrestlers, especially, this is why I like AEW a little bit more. The wrestlers don't have a problem getting on a hot mic and saying the thing that everyone knows. So people have called out Chris Jericho for taking away time from people who need it. And recently, Adam Copeland, the former Edge, he's about to face off against Jon Moxley, the former last member of the Shield, whose name, what was he in the Shield?
Dean Ambrose.
Dean Ambrose, the former Dean Ambrose, who does have the championship right now, but the fans don't like it. Like this whole angle that Jon Moxley is pulling, where he put the belt in a briefcase and he won't show it to anybody anymore, because he says, like, "I'm the champion, I'm the belt. You don't have to worry about the belt anymore." To have Cope come out, Adam Copeland, he wants to be called Cope now. Sure,
I know. I heard that. I was like, oh,
it's dumb.
Cope,
it's bad.
Do people say Cope harder?
No, but the crowd for some reason is behind, like, they give Cope. But anyway, he came out, and I do like, because you have to remember, Edge knows how to talk. He's good at it. Mm-hmm. So he grabbed a hot mic and he acknowledged to the fans live on television watching it, "Hey, no one likes this gimmick anymore. Like, this is stupid. I'm going to beat the tar out of you. I'm going to pry that thing out of your stupid briefcase, and you can go home with your wife and your daughter, and you can think about what you've done and come back when when you're ready to say sorry," or some such. And I was like, okay, good. Like, somebody's at least acknowledging, like, this angle was fun for like half a minute, but it is one problem with Jon Moxley. That dude likes to talk, and he got the Bray Wyatt gene without the mankind ability to actually make it make sense. Because he just goes off about how I'm going to change and we're going to revolutionize and we own this place. And they're like, no, it just seems like you're a bloodline. You cheat at every match and then you win. Okay. Like, we've seen that before.
That was Roddy Piper.
Yes.
People love Roddy Piper.
It's the notion, like, with the bloodline, with Moxley, who does admittedly get the coolest group name. They're called the Death Riders. That's pretty cool. But it's like, everyone hasn't figured out, if we just get enough baby faces together with some lead pipes, we could end this.
Well, that's always been the thing that bothered me in general about factions in WWE, where the bad guys would get together. The good guys could never get their shit together. So It always made it look like the good guys or the faces in wrestling were just idiots. Yeah. Look, okay, the Bloodline's got 4. Okay, we'll have 5. And, like, when I go up against Roman Reigns, you guys make sure nobody interferes. But no one ever did that. So no one ever
figures that out. But and especially given that, like, the Death Riders take their end games to ECW 96 level. They put a plastic bag over Bryan Danielson's head. Right, and it was like, oh, okay, like. Even as a fan of some hardcore stuff, I'm like, this is just not, I've seen this movie before. I don't want to watch it.
All right.
But I digress. Speaking of movies,
we have just a few minutes left, so we can talk about the Fantastic Four trailer that came out, or the teaser trailer
yes.
Didn't show too much, but it did show enough of Ben Grimm as the Thing. And as much as people are complaining about it and thinking it's got an uncanny valley feel to it, first, it's freaking CGI, folks. Mm-hmm. I did appreciate, though, how when he claps his hands, it sounds like rocks hitting each other. That was a cool bit.
Oh, the sound is great. I mean, look, maybe I'm in the wrong here. Like, I don't mind the fully CGI'd character. I liked She-Hulk, and I know that there was some Uncanny Valley complaints over there too. I'll admit I don't like the look of the Thing in this one, but I recognize what they're going for. It's a very comic accurate version of the Thing. It's like a big brow that does kind of shape the head in a weird way at times. And yeah, he wears a sweater, and they give the throwaway gag about the cooking thing. I loved it. I'd say like the only thing from the teaser that I wasn't exactly like loving, I'm still not sold on Pedro Pascal. I love the guy, and I think he's a great actor. I don't buy him as Reed yet. He's cocky, but not in the way like, and not to say that I think Krasinski did a much better job. In fact, I think I don't know what they were doing with him, because man, the smartest man in the MCU told the Scarlet Witch how to destroy Black Bolt. Great job.
Smart,
it's kind
but not great under pressure.
Yeah. I like it and I don't. So I mean, everyone else is good. I mean, like, it's hard to mess up the Human Torch, and I will admit, as a geek, I absolutely nerded out when I saw Galactus's back helmet. I went, oh my god, yes! Even though the fans, the real geeks, are going, excuse me, Galactus is actually much larger than what that would imply. Followed by
a building.
By like 4 other geeks going, excuse me, Galactus can change his size at will. You don't know which Galactus you're getting.
I mean, to be able to eat an entire planet, I would think Galactus needs to be at least a quarter of the size of the planet. But
I'm excited for it. I'm actually excited too. I didn't want to spoil too much of it for myself, but there is no Galactus without Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
And we've already ruined that character once. So I was curious to see what they're going to do with it. It appears possibly that we're going to get a different version of the Surfer. We might get I believe it's the wife.
Yeah. The female Surfer. There have been different versions, yes.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where they go with that. But I mean, come on. We had Herbie. We had Thing in a delightful sweater. It was a good trailer, a good teaser to the wherever we go from here.
Oh, I agree. So we'll see what comes next. So I was wrong. Last week I said that the Fantastic Four First Steps wasn't coming out until 2026. No, it's actually July of 2025. Comes out, I think, 2 weeks after Superman.
Yeah, that's Marvel being smart.
So,
Nerds, save your money. You're going to have a very busy summer.
Save it. All right.
Yes.
Well, we're running up on the end, Mark. Before we go, where can people find you on the socials?
You can always find me at Unshaven Comics or at Unshaven Mark specifically on Instagram and Facebook. I'm also on Blue Sky along with 17 other people, so just look up Marc Fishman. I should be up there. And just go to unshavencomics.com.
And you can always find me at Elliott Serrano on all the socials. 2 L's, 2 T's, and 2 R's. And you'll also hear me on a political talk show here on WRMN. All right, Mark. Talk to you next week. Have a good one.
You too.
So long, everyone. See you next time.